All right. Do we want to officially start this conversation?
Yeah, why not? I can just talk about some Dream Theater.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
welcome everybody. This is going to be a pretty casual conversation. You all know me. This is my channel, but back on the channel once again, um, practically squatter on this channel. Grace Hayhurst is back. Hello,
Hello.
Grace.
It's nice to be back. It's nice to say hello. I've come
Yeah.
out of the crevices of the basement of your channel and popped up again.
Amazing. Yeah. The reason why we're all talking today, is the Dream Theater had their first live concert with Portnoy on drums, celebrating is it the 40th anniversary?
40th anniversary tour. Yeah, to think they've been going that long is
So that
pretty
means
crazy.
that score is now 20 years old,
And
which
Scenes from a Memory is 25, I think, as well, because that
that
was 1999.
yes,
So,
1999.
so yeah, it's a year of anniversaries
It's a year of
for.
it. It feels like they're at a point now where like every time I see them, they're celebrating like a benchmark. Like the last time I saw them, it was Scenes from a Memory's 20th year and Awake's 25th year or something like that.
I mean, the
Is
thing is, when you release like more than 5 albums, there's a chance that like every year is going to be a 0 or 5 anniversary of said
Yeah,
record, right? So
that's
it's kind of
true.
like
That's true.
got to milk it, I guess.
Yeah.
Why not?
But you were at the show. You were at the 40th anniversary show.
Yeah, I popped along, just nosed
Just
around, just see what's going on, have a little
showed
look.
up. Yeah, it was in
Yeah,
your neighborhood, so you just skittered
it
across.
was. Yeah, the very first show of the tour, and when it all got announced, and I saw like the first day it was in London, I was like, oh my god, that's not that far away. I can go and see that and be part of something special. And I was like wondering for a while, like, are they going to book like more dates before that? Are they going to do
Hmm.
some stuff in the States? Are they going to do like a hometown, like New York kind of show before? Nope.
Yeah.
London was the first date. And it was a big venue as well. I was quite surprised when it got announced because the O2 Arena, I think its normal capacity is like 18, 20,000, something like that,
Okay,
which
it's
is
pretty big.
like the last time Dream Theater played London with Mankini, it was like a 4 or 5 thousand capacity venue. So I was like,
Hmm.
wow, they're really banking on this whole Mike Portnoy guy, hey? And
You
but
fill
they're
seats.
slightly lower than that because because the floor was seated, so it was,
Yeah.
I think it's like 12,000 or something. I did a bit lower, you know.
Well, I also
But
know
yeah,
I know a number of people that actually like flew in for
oh,
that
so
show.
many.
Yeah.
Like you kind of see it on DVDs with and clips online of Dream Theater shows, like the people that go along with
Yeah.
their flags of their countries. So many. I think
Yeah.
particularly because this was the first show in, almost 15 years since
Yeah.
Mike Portnoy was with the band. It's the 40th anniversary. It's the first one. It's a big one. It's in a cool city, may I say? If I mean, I live
Yes,
in
it
it, so
is. Yeah. I would
it's in a
agree.
very cool city. Um, and it's like loads of people made trips from it. I ended up hanging out with a bunch of American guys from the prog report after the show, and it was
Yes.
like it's just so many swathes of people. I was like, "Oh, it's you, right? Wow." Um, and
Yeah,
like
because
tons of people from South America as well. Lots of South American flags. That was
yeah.
like the flag zone, I think. No one with like Union Jack flags or like Canadian flags, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that were from Canada, but yeah, I know the Prog Report gang was all out there because
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
James LeBrie was there, so
yeah. Pardon me?
made the trip from Canada
Yeah, I mean,
because
I
he's
wish I pardon me?
because James is from Toronto, right?
He is from just north of Toronto. I think he's like in one of the smaller cities that like I used to frequent quite regularly. Like
Right. Okay.
Midland or Penetanguishene or something along those lines, like one of the smaller places.
Yeah. No, so there's at least one Canadian came
So
along.
at least one Canadian was there. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. So I'm going to the one in March in Toronto, and they're playing a medium-sized arena. It's for anybody that knows, it's the Coca-Cola Coliseum, which used to be it's the one at the exhibition, uh, which is a medium sized. I've seen Ghost there. I saw Opeth and Gojira there. And I want to say Mastodon played there. Um,
Right, okay. That's
but it's
interesting.
it's bigger than I think this is the biggest venue they've played in Toronto outside of like the big Budweiser stage, which is their outside venue.
Mm.
But that was when they were doing the Prog Nation, so they had like Big Elf and Zappa Play Zappa, and it was like a whole
Okay, right.
afternoon, right? Like way back when.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like, for comparison, like, the bands that for people that don't know the O2 Arena in London, the other
mhm,
bands that play that venue that I've seen there is, like, Iron Maiden and Electric Light Orchestra and
mhm,
Muse and, like, that kind of level of act, right? It's kind of that next step up that headline the massive festival, so it's kind of it
mhm.
was, yeah, a big but I think this is the biggest show of the tour. We're trying to I was talking to people last night trying to work that out, and it's like is this kind of like the first one, so it's special?
Mhm.
Like I ran into like Mike Portnoy's whole family were there, like his wife and kids came
Yeah,
along to it. So obviously, like everyone's kind of coming to see it kick off, and then they're doing the rounds and
they're
kind of
doing
going
their
about.
own. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how was the actual show? Because I had the set list leaked to me, which I wasn't too happy about. I like to keep the set list a mystery before I get to see it. But
Mhm.
so how was the actual show?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess set the spoilers ahead for anyone watching, right? If you just go away,
Yeah.
watch this after you've seen the show.
Yeah. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, and then
Yeah,
we'll see you
yeah,
in the
come
next
back.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it was yeah, it was good. I loved the mystery of not knowing what was coming next because
Mhm.
everything was a mystery. Everything felt very new because I've not seen the band before with Portnoy. I've only
Oh,
ever
okay.
seen them with Mangini.
Hmm.
So it was kind of brand new to me almost, even though I've seen Mike in basically all of his other projects like Sons of Apollo and Transatlantic and
Yeah.
Neil Morse Band and all that other stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, so it was like I don't know, it was like fresh. It was like, wow, this is the first time I'm seeing Dream Theater, which
Yeah.
sounds so disingenuous to Mr. Mankiewicz,
Yeah,
because
I
I
get
love
it.
those records. I really, A View from the Top of the World, great record. I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. But this kind of felt like, right, okay, we're sort of tunneling back into this previous era now, and we're kind of going into it, and it was just kind of perfect.
Mhm.
Like as soon as the sheet dropped at the start, and even saying that before the show, I'm pretty sure Mike Portnoy is back to choosing the pre-show set lists. So
Mhm.
like I don't remember every song, but the one right before they started was Snarky Puppy's Lingus, which was just
Oh,
like so
what a
like
cut.
funny. And it
Yeah.
but it like they cut it like halfway through the keyboard solo for like the intro tape to play. And I was just like, "Oh."
Oh, that's funny.
Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, like the sheet, falls down. It's the psycho theme, which is like
Staple at this point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's like it just goes into Metropolis Part 1. And it's just like, whoa. Um,
Yeah.
and I think I had that with almost every song that came because I was like, oh, I love that song. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's a great. Oh, yeah, I love that. Oh, and just constantly. I mean, I loved, the kind of sandwich of part two, City
Hmm.
from Memory, because yeah, you started with Metropolis Part 1, then you had sort of the first two scenes from scene two. What am I talking about? You had the overture and then Strange Deja Vu as a kind of start,
Yeah.
which I spent ages trying to learn on keyboard. So I was like
Yeah,
so
of course.
familiar with that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the encore was like Home and then The Spirit Carries On. So you kind of have that sort of like sandwich of that record, which I think is everyone's sort of fan favorite, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the fan favorite for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like the whole list was like, right, okay, what are like the top songs? What's like the best song from each album? Because that was quite a spread.
Yeah.
There's quite a spread of stuff. We kind of went back in time to The Mirror,
Hmm.
which is a pretty good one. I played Hollow Years as well.
Yeah.
From 20 and for last time they played 2010. I have like the sellers.fm in front of me because it's like I'm trying to remember like
Yeah.
all of the stuff that went through.
Yeah. The
It's
thing,
interesting to see. Mm.
I don't know if it's on Last FM, but like from where I saw, they were saying like first time they played in full since the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which I always thought was very interesting. I think like
Yeah.
the two big ones for me was when they played, or I guess when I saw that they had played uh, the last two songs before the encore.
Mm. Mhm,
And I
mhm.
was just
Yeah.
like, oh, well, now I hope that they play that for Toronto, but I wonder if Portnoy will have more control over the set list like he did in the past and like be very like every show
Liberal with
has
moving
a
it around,
different,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's what we're all trying to work out because it's like, obviously, no one kinda really knows yet, and I think things will move around a little bit, but I imagine it will stay fairly consistent,
Hmm.
um, I imagine, because it's kind of a
Yeah.
different era these days with visuals and everything, they had these 3 massive screens behind them all with everything sort of timed up to the playing, but definitely not
Hmm.
playing to click, um,
Yeah.
which is a change in
Yeah.
how they've been performing for the last while, Mike's very kind of he just doesn't do that. So you can kinda hear, like, some songs, you're like, "Oh, this bit's a bit faster and this bit's a bit slower," and that fill was a bit too quick, and it kind of but it wasn't it almost made that better in the sense of
Yeah.
it's like, there's no guide there. They're not listening to some
Hmm.
voice saying, "Section 2, part 2, guitar solo 3," and John's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's that one."
I will admit, like I've seen Mangini Dream Theater 3 or 4 times.
Mhm.
And I always felt like they like reproduced the songs almost verbatim from the album. That like it was almost like a one for one. There wasn't too much interpretation. But
Yeah, yeah.
I did see them the first time I saw Dream Theater was on their Black Clouds and Silver Linings tour. So like I got in there right in the nick of time to see my Portnoy. Uh, and I don't think they used a click or any kind of a counter back then because I do
No.
remember when they were playing the Count of Tuscany, um, it was faster in the fast points and slower in the slower points. So it's like
Mm.
okay, they're doing some jazz on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I say back then, 2009 is now back then, but
Yeah.
clicks in his weren't as kinda common, I feel like it was
Yeah.
kind of almost it was starting to appear in places, but, people
Hmm.
didn't tend to have, like, playback rigs and all of this stuff attached to their live setup. It was kind of, yeah, you had to just go for it
You
and
had to go
hope
for it.
that
Yeah.
it didn't, like, go wrong, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it was totally on point. I mean, there were little changes here and there, I feel like Jordan had some cool, like synth lead sounds that were sort of enhanced in a way. Like, it wasn't just,
Hmm.
"This is exactly what it is on the record." It's like, okay, like, it's kind of what it is on the record, but now there's, like, this other, like, crazy, like, phasing modulator happening or something, and it sounds, like, even bigger, and you're just
Right.
like, "Oh, okay, cool," and, like, jamming around it a little bit.
Hmm.
But,
Hmm.
I will say they kinda messed up. They kinda something spoiled
Uh-oh.
what was coming later on in the show because I'm quite an observant person, and I know a little
Of
bit
course.
about, a little bit about
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
Dream Theater guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, what I could see behind Jordan was sat a Haken Continuum, not Haken the band,
Oh.
although they were also there,
Yeah,
obviously.
I saw a
Um,
group of them there. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, they're
but
they're
no.
locals, right? They just
Yeah,
rolled
yeah,
on
yeah,
down.
yeah. And yeah, the Haken Continuum, which famously is what Jordan Rudess plays in the intro of Octavarium, and I was like,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
wonder what that might mean. They didn't even put a cloth over it or anything. It was just there, and I was
Yeah.
just like, "Hmm, so when are they gonna play
Hmm.
that then? Is it time yet? Are they gonna play it next?"
No, they're
Um,
totally they're totally going to bring it out for the mirror, right? They're going to try something different
yeah.
and do it for the mirror.
Yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a spoiler, but that was,
Right.
that was very fun. I mean, Jordan's keyboard rig was upgraded as well. He has, like, as well as obviously the whole, like, tilting, rotating, sliding around keyboard thing,
Yeah,
which is,
yeah,
like, hilarious and so fun. There's
yeah.
now, like, a massive, like, screen on the front of it, which is,
Oh.
like, all over the place. I think there were 2 particular visuals that I were my favorites, which was one that was like a piano,
Hmm.
and it was linked up to the MIDI of the synth, so it was
Oh.
actually, like, showing pressed what notes he was playing on the keyboard as he was playing it, and I was like,
Oh, okay. Okay,
"That's,
okay.
like, very inventive as like a piece
Yeah.
of technology. It was really cool. And then they also had like a waveform as well, so it was kind of like the wave of like whatever was coming through the keyboard sounds.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a fun little upgrade. Mike's drum kit as well. Oh my god, he had like I'm sorry, that guy just come on, we get it. He's
Yeah, this is
compensating. You don't need a
yeah.
drum kit that big.
Doesn't he
Um,
though? I think he's seen like Neil Peart and he's just like, I can do better. I can fill up more space.
well, yeah, I mean, it was just I looked at it and I was like, really? But you know what? Why not? Let him have it.
Why not?
I'd hate to be his drum tech though. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because like I think it must be the biggest kit he's ever had because and the thing that gave it away was that there were two drum seats for it that he kept switching
Oh,
between because he
right.
couldn't reach everything from one seat. I mean, like that's ridiculous. That's so like, come
Oh
on.
boy.
Um,
Wow.
but it was interesting though because you kind of could tell the pace of the song because he had his like rototoms on one side. So if he was like sitting on one side, you're like, okay, this is like a more active song, and then it switched to the
Hmm.
other side, and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to get like one of the ballads now, and it's going to slow it down because there were kind of fewer interesting drums on that side. It was more like a standard kind of kit.
Yeah.
But then he also played, I'm pretty sure it was Bastard Warrior he played
Hmm.
on that side of the zone as well. So I was like, oh, okay, is that like the Mike Mangini zone? And it's kind of he's trying to
Yeah.
emulate some of his kit, but no,
Yeah,
it's
because
it's
that
quite
was
an interesting idea. Like,
yeah.
you see guitarists changing guitars, and I'm sure I think John Young changed his bass a couple of times during the set
Hmm.
for different tunings and stuff. So the idea of a drummer having like effectively a secondary drum kit for different songs is like
Yeah.
quite funny.
Yeah, and I know like Neil Peart had the rotating one where he would rotate to like the three
Mm.
different kits that he would play with. How did Mike do? Because I know he played two Mangini tracks, right?
Yeah,
How was
the
he on the Mangini tracks?
so the first one was Bastard Warrior,
Yeah.
which I know. The other one was the ballad. This is the life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. I think so.
which I'm not as familiar with. I don't really know that album as much. I kind of know
I
the later
no,
Mancini albums.
I was gonna say, wasn't that from the self-titled, which is in my mind one of their weaker ones?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
so.
don't return
Or it
to that
might
one
have
all that
been.
often.
Oh no, it was from a Jurassic Turn of Events.
Oh, was it?
So
Oh, I was thinking of the bigger picture.
right, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's like the album that obviously like Mangini was kind of not really involved in at all in like the writing, is my
yeah,
understanding. So it's
yeah.
kind of like a drummer wasn't really involved in that track. So it's kind of like, okay, an interesting choice.
Hmm.
That's nice, great lyrics.
No, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, Buster War is a bit of a more complicated one, and that was kind
Hmm.
of that was the bonus track of this distance over time. Am
Oh,
I
the
getting it
distance
right?
over time was a weird one because, like, in my mind, like at wit's end is kind of the ending of the album, and then you've got like three other tracks after it that aren't a bonus. But like Barstool Warrior is
So,
kind of like
yeah,
right smack dab in the middle.
yeah, that's the middle. I'm thinking of Viper King. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it was good. It's fine.
yeah.
He seemed comfortable.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
they played the song.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I did find it very interesting seeing Night Terror live, the new
yeah,
single,
yeah,
which people have been raving about, and that was I appreciate that because obviously it's an evening with Dream Theater. There's no support. It's like a
yeah.
3 hour show. Um, so yeah, the first act, the first half before the interval was like Metropolis Part One, Metropolis Part Two, and then like a couple of hits. And
Hmm.
yeah, Act Two started with Night
With
Terror.
Night
So you
Terror.
kind of have this like, yeah, this 20-minute break, and then it's like, right,
Yeah,
here it is again. We're
here
back.
it is again.
Starting because most bands, if they're kind of, they're touring a new album, they'll kind of maybe open with the new single that's come out. So I feel like they
Hmm.
kind of got an opportunity to kind of open the stage a second time with that.
Yes.
And it sounded great. I kind of fell in love with it a lot more seeing it live
Hmm.
than just listening to it on like YouTube and watching the video and stuff. It's
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, okay, no, this actually like this really hits well. And it was kind of, James LeBrie's vocal parts in it are a lot lower as well in terms of just his range. So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, he's super comfortable singing that, and yeah, it was just like Oh, okay. And the thing I love as well is you can kind of hear when you've got something like that compared to like Under a Glass Moon,
Hmm.
they're one or two songs apart. The total different like styles in writing, how all of the members have sort of progressed with their musicality. Because
Hmm.
I've listened to so much Neil Morse, Mike Portnoy over the last
Yeah.
few years, and it's like a lot of the newer stuff, like the Neil Morse band and everything, and comparing his drums in that to some of the early Dream Theater stuff, it's like a different drummer almost.
Yeah.
So Night Terror is kind of somewhere in between, where it's like all of this kind of fresh sound that Mike sort of gained from his years, sort of swanning about all these other artists,
Hmm.
bringing it back to Dream Theater, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And you hear
Hmm.
it's good, it's good, it was good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's great.
excited for the rest of the album.
Yeah, same. And like I'm sure we'll get more singles, and I'm sure that they'll incorporate those as well into the set list.
Mm.
So maybe when it comes time for my chance to give them a C, we'll have a couple more. So how was James? Because I know James's singing voice sometimes in a live
Mm,
setting is,
mm.
but we were talking
Everyone's
before
talking about
we,
it.
yeah, and
Mm,
before we hit the record, we both mentioned that when you're seeing it live, it's almost like the roasting glass. It's like it sounds great, it sounds amazing, but then afterwards you're listening to recordings and you're like, ooh,
I
ooh,
because I was sat quite far forward, I feel like where I was, it was kind of like you don't I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like the first song I thought, part 1, I was like, "Oh, hmm." But then after that, I just didn't I was like, "Oh, no, he's on it."
yeah,
I didn't even think I didn't give it a second thought. And then I looked back online at clips and I was like, "Hmm, right."
hmm,
I don't think like, I mean, it's so easy to say this and like so impossible to understand, but phone microphones do not like really reflect what's going on in the room properly.
yeah,
And I appreciate there's kind of tuning issues and stuff, but it's kind of just it just didn't matter, it just doesn't
yeah.
matter. All these people like arguing online, you look at the Dream Theater Facebook group, the Dream Theater Reddit, whatever. It's just people being like, James should retire, James should do that. I love James, he can do nothing wrong. James should blah 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 blah. And it's just like, sorry, what? Like,
Hmm.
or it's people arguing about Mike Portnoy is not as good as Mangini because Mangini did this and blah 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 blah,
Oh boy.
and now it's not as good. And it's like, guys,
Yeah, yeah. Let's zoom out for a little bit. Jeez.
this is like entertainment. These guys have been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, how many artists get the privilege to go that long
Hmm.
with their band and play that many shows and give
Yeah.
joy to so many people, you
Yeah.
know?
And are still able to like pump out bangers like that new track, right? Like,
Yeah, like it's
yeah.
everyone just
Yeah.
shut up a little bit. You know what I
It's a
mean?
little
It's just unnecessary.
exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, you fucking try, go out there and do a tour and sing to all the, tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking more than anything else. And
Yeah.
it's just I
Wow.
don't know. There's lots of
Yeah.
people being like comparing them into like an athlete, it's like if Usain Bolt like doesn't come in first, then then he's got to retire from his running career. It's like it's not even an apt comparison,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. They're
it's
not competing
entertainment.
with anybody.
No, they're just, above anything, they're mates. They're a bunch of
Yeah.
friends, and it's the chemistry between them and everything.
Yeah.
They are never, never, ever gonna be like, no, you're out of the band because you're kind of a bit. Mm." They've been in tiny little buses all
Yeah.
over the world for 3 decades.
Yeah.
With James, 3.5 decades. Like,
Yeah.
you don't just tell someone to go away. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any issue. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, he's not the most incredible singer these days that he was maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think you'll struggle to find any 60-year-old that's, as good as they were 30 years ago at anything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's
just,
fair.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't get it. I think it's a privilege that they're all still going, that they're all still doing something, and it all sounds pretty good. And
Yeah.
I think we should just appreciate that.
I agree. The last thing before we say our goodbyes, how was the merch? Because I'm seeing you got your t-shirt on there.
Yeah. Oh god, I got suckered in.
Oh
I
man.
got suckered
Oh,
in. This is
they
quite a cool one. It's the
yeah,
other t-shirt was maybe cooler, but obviously
sure.
this has the boys
Oh
all in one
yes.
place. 40th anniversary
Yeah.
tour. Um, the t-shirts were £40, which should I do some
Oh,
conversions to
yeah.
USD for
USD,
the
or for me it's
USD tour.
Canadian dollars. So
That's
pounds to
51,
Can
52 USD for a
Jeez.
t-shirt.
Yeah. For every pound, it's 1.8 Canadian dollars. So you said 40 pounds?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
40 pounds would be $71 in Canadian money.
Yeah, you don't know.
71.
Yeah, you don't want to know how much the hoodies were.
Oh, jeez.
Those the hoodies, I was like, the t-shirt, I could almost be like, hmm, okay.
Right. Right.
But the hoodies were 80
One
pounds.
80 pounds. That's
80,
$143 in Canadian money.
and they
100.
weren't like that's 103 US dollars.
Yeah.
Um, they weren't like these beautiful, like hand embroidered,
Yeah.
signed, wonderful thing,
Yeah.
super soft with a beautiful design. It was basically
Yeah.
just the logo and like black, boring with the logo and
Yeah. We all
just
we all have them, right? You got the patch here, it's the zip down and then the big on the back, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Oh
"Come
my
on, you
gosh.
cannot be seriously charged." We all know how much it costs to make those. Like,
Yeah.
really,
Wow.
guys?
Wow.
Like, the
Even
tickets
Dream
are already
Theater.
pretty expensive, and
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
but it's just the way it is. Everyone's doing it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially once you're at a venue of that size. It's kind of like, with all the venues taking cuts of the merch and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe at other places on the tour they'll be cheaper because of different taxes and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, they did have a very cool Dream Theater keyring though. Dream Theater beanie, Dream Theater
Oh,
sort of
okay.
snapback hat.
Okay.
The keyring was cool.
Yeah.
I got the keyring. That
Nice,
was
nice,
that was
nice.
that was £15.
Oof.
Mm.
All
19 US dollars.
right. We all get like the novelty stuff. Like I remember when I saw Ghost and I got the Ghost Rosary. And I'm like, oh, this will be
Yeah.
fun, you know? So
Yeah, I just feel like it's quite a monumental show, and it's for a number of reasons. It's the first one. It's the first one back with
yeah,
Mike. Yeah. It's like I want to have a little bit of something to take home with me, and
absolutely.
rub in people's
Yeah.
faces that couldn't make it. No.
Like this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's okay. That's okay.
But it was
Uh
great,
yeah,
to include it. Surely it was great, um,
amazing. Yeah.
and I
Yeah, I
cried a bit
I
too much.
hope I hope that they play Stream of Consciousness and Octavarium because those are the two that I saw on the set list. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
like back to
Hmm.
back like that. I probably would have died.
I actually like cried when Jordan was playing the intro to Octavarium. I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like with all of them, and it's wow. I also cried during the first song. I think I cried during Pull Me Under. Not very crying songs. It's none of the like ballads. It's all like
Yeah.
the shreddy, like cool stuff. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, John Petrucci's playing so many notes.
Oh
Ridiculous.
boy.
So
Yeah, but I
ridiculous.
mean, yeah, half of these songs haven't been played since like 2004, 2006, maybe
Which
2012,
maybe tells
right?
you how
So,
badly they've been picking set lists for the
yeah,
last like 10
for the last
years.
little bit. Yeah.
But,
So,
yeah.
oh boy. Well, thank you so much for coming on and geeking out about some Dream Theater. Um, yeah, where can people find you? Where can people find your work?
Dream Theater. I'll
Dream Theater.
every show. Yep.
Every show. Yeah.
I
You're pulling a
do
Rammstein.
I do lots of little things. I run a little website called Proghurst, where I'll post this as well, which is do gigs, album reviews, all that kind of stuff, but in a
Yeah.
written format. None of this video malarkey. It's too modern for me.
Too modern. Yeah, it's all
Um,
about the printed word, baby. We're
it
bringing it
is.
back.
We're bringing it back. Yep. It's carrier pigeon only.
Yeah,
We're on Facebook and all that kind of stuff if you want to have a
yeah.
little Google.
Yeah, and if you're too lazy, I've left it in the description. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
And thank
That's
you
great.
so much for coming on and geeking out about Dream Theater with me.
Every time, anytime.
Anytime. Okay. Bye, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, and do all the things. We'll catch you in the next one.